What was that? Boulder Beach!
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a Pokemon photographer. It's a new day in the photo studio, and last time I started my journey exploring the tiny trail, I showed Professor Oak the pictures I took, and I was met with criticism that I don't think was warranted because he doesn't have the vernacular he thinks he possesses. Somebody lied to him several times and told him he was smart and influential in the photography world, but he's nothing of the sort. This was the start of my photo journey, and we're leaving Professor Oak behind to explore other biomes and continue my pursuit of filling out my Photodex. So I'm gonna find other people to look at my photos to prove Professor Oak wrong, because there has to be someone who agrees with my art. Throughout this region, there are spots known as photo reserves that are overlooked by special trainers to help inspire Pokemon photographers produce work to submit to the Pokemon Photo Contest. In case you missed out on my last photos, go check out the video to that expedition. If you're wanting the photos for yourself, you can get them as postcards by visiting my shop. This is all part of my monthly mail club, where after I take photos of each Pokemon in these videos, you can get them as postcards and each Pokemon illustrated as a sticker. So if you're wanting these for yourself, check out the link in the description. This time we're headed to a spot known as Boulder Beach, which is overlooked by Mallory.
My name's Mallory, and you found yourself on Boulder Beach. If you don't know me or what I do, I'm an archaeologist. Archaeologists study the history of humanity and human activity through cultural remains, such as artifacts, architecture, cultural landscapes, and more. Outside of my own fieldwork, you can find me talking about all kinds of history in the Pokemon universe, from things like the ancient people of Pokemon to individual inspirations we find in specific Pokemon and how that all seems to intersect. So you're wondering what kind of partner a Pokemon archaeologist might have? My partner is Eevee. Normal type Pokemon are an awesome type to bring along with you when working in the field as an archaeologist, because ruins are often inhabited with ghost type Pokemon, so that immunity can come in handy. She has access to moves like Detect and Dig, which are really great for helping me find artifacts. Plus, her tail can make a pretty good brush for cleaning excavated areas. In archaeology, photography is a great way to preserve things, especially in a place like Boulder Beach, where we might see things wash away over time. As an archaeologist, when looking at Pokemon photography, we want to make sure that we are capturing things in its context. Removing an artifact, or in this case, a Pokemon, on our own from the context where we found it might minimize what we can understand about it, because everything around it helps to tell the story. Now, Pokemon photography is about catching Pokemon, but maybe in a slightly different way than you're used to.
We're at Boulder Beach. Let's take some pictures.
Pokédex number 692. They knock down flying prey by firing compressed water from their massive claws. A water type known as the Water Gun Pokemon, it's Clauncher. Going into this area, I figured that we might be seeing a lot of rock-type Pokemon at this beach, so I wanted to check if I could find any water types here to add some refreshing blue to what'll probably be a lot of muted colors. You'll notice that I take a lot of my photos at the Pokemon's eye level, because this helps with seeing the world from their perspective. Depending on what you're trying to portray, taking a photo of a subject from above can make them feel smaller and sometimes weaker, while taking a photo from below can give them a feeling of being strong and dominant. Pokédex number 659. It has ears like shovels. Digging holes strengthens its ears so much that they can sever thick roots effortlessly. A normal type known as the Digging Pokemon, it's Bunnelby. I know this looks like I might be more partial to Pokemon native to Kalos because my last expedition was full of them, but I promise it's just a coincidence. I found this Bunnelby digging some holes in the rock and sand. You might think they're being disruptive, but honestly, I love digging holes in the sand when I'm at the beach too. Pokédex number 438. It looks as if it's always crying, but it's actually adjusting its body fluid levels by eliminating excess. A rock type known as the Bonsai Pokemon, it's Bonzi. I found this baby Pokemon included among all the driftwood that's washed ashore, so maybe it's preparing for when it blocks paths as a Sudowoodo pretending to be a tree? They shouldn't be left alone like this though, so let's alert Mallory and see if we can do something for them. Pokédex number 882. Its powerful legs and jaws made it the perfect apex predator of its time. Its own overhunting of its prey was what drove it to extinction. A water dragon type known as the fossil Pokemon, it's Dracovish. An interesting Pokédex entry because I'm pretty sure this Pokemon didn't look like this thousands of years ago, thanks to the Galar region's Carolus and her carelessness. Pokédex number 252. They can quickly scale even vertical surfaces. It senses humidity with its tails to predict the next day's weather. A grass type known as the wood gecko Pokemon, it's Trico. There's a bunch of vertical surfaces around with all the cliffs, so I'm not surprised to see something like a Trico here in this warm environment trying to camouflage itself in the greenery here. They found a pretty good spot overlooking the water. This whole time I've been looking at this island in the distance, and I can't help but wonder what kind of Pokemon are over there, so I'm gonna figure out a way to get on it. Looking at this sign, I'm thinking, should I turn back? And then there's this caution tape. There has to be something special out this way, but how am I gonna get across the water? At least I had a nice view, but then I see a shiny Whalmer. I think they're wanting to take me to the island. There's definitely a lot more rocks, but what's sitting over there? Is that a handbag? That sounds familiar. Pokédex number 377. Their body is composed entirely of rocks. A study made the startling discovery that the rocks were all unearthed from different new rocks. A rock type known as the Rock Peak Pokemon, it's Regirock. Regirock is pretty popular within my community, and so they obviously resonate with me for reasons. Reading their Pokédex entry, I think they represent change and fluidity. I never really gave this Pokemon too much attention until other people started to, but Regirock shows us what's important is on the inside. Though, I also read that they have no heart or brain.
Did that same Bondsley follow me all the way over here? Let's take them back to Mallory and head to the photo studio.
Do you ever think you're done editing your photo, but then you look at it again and you feel like something's missing? Like maybe that blue sky feels a little empty and needs some clouds? You could go back out there, wait for the clouds, and take the photo again, but you could also just make your own clouds. There's something called composite photography, and this is when you take 2 or more photos and put them together to make something new. When I learned about this technique at first, I felt a little weird because I didn't take the photo in one go, but no one is ever going to take a perfect picture, so compositing is okay to do because in the end, it's all art as long as you don't use AI.
To make our own clouds, we're actually going to make a cloud brush. To get started, we'll need a picture of a cloud and make sure that it's isolated and cropped like the one I have here. Head over to the adjustment layers and you're going to select black and white because within all brushes are grayscale, so we're essentially getting rid of all the color here by moving cyan and blue to the left until the area around the cloud is completely black. This might make the cloud look a little dull, so we're going to apply a brightness contrast adjustment layer to brighten it up a little bit so we can still see details through any existing shadows. Next, right-click on the topmost layer and flatten the image. After that, you're going to invert this combined layer by pressing Ctrl+I on your keyboard, and you're ready to make the cloud brush. Head over to the Edit menu at the top, select Define Brush Preset, name your brush, and there you go. You can repeat this process to have a few different options for clouds, but now you can put as many clouds as you want on your pictures. And this is how the final Trico image looks compared to the original.
As someone who overlooks Boulder Beach, here are the categories we're going to be rating the photos submitted today. Environmental storytelling. How well does the environment add to the Pokemon story? Does it feel native to Boulder Beach? Archaeological vibes. Does the photo feel at all historic, or does it capture any historic context we'd want to preserve? And lastly, dig site readiness. How helpful does this Pokemon look it would be working in the field? This Pokemon definitely seems to be more of a predator in its behavior and how we know it moves through the world, but I'm curious if this position specifically is more reflecting it hiding in some way, or perhaps it is a predatory stance hoping to attack soon. I'm curious if this Pokemon is watching another, maybe getting ready to strike by using the water pressure out of its claws. But also, this Pokemon can wear down rocks itself when we know that the weathering of rocks is something that naturally occurs, but perhaps this Pokemon is speeding it up. For environmental storytelling, I give this photo 4 stars. This photo doesn't really seem to capture historic context that we'd want to catalog in Pokemon. The only real things would be if we did happen to see something like its claw fall off, which is similar to some other Pokemon that we know have regenerating features. And we know for those other Pokemon that humans use some of those items as tools, and it would be curious to see if we could trace anything from Clauncher to our historic understanding. For the archaeology vibes, I'm going to give this photo 2 stars. This Clauncher seems to be focused on something other than maybe digging or helping with archaeological pursuits, which is completely okay. For dig site readiness, I'm going to give this photo 2 stars. I love seeing this Pokemon in general, but especially in an environment like this one, where it seems to be actively engaging in some kind of activity. Even though Bunnelby is not in the center of the photo, you're able to see that it seemed to be engaged in activities that are contextually relevant, that you can see right behind it. So I think it being off-center is important for this storytelling. And for that environmental storytelling, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Sometimes Pokemon are actually the ones that bring about innovation, or the ones that have helped move technology and society along. So seeing a Pokemon practice an activity like this is beneficial to understanding history in its greater context. For the archaeology vibes, I'm going to give this photo 3 stars. This Pokemon to me looks like it would be a great companion on a dig site. Its ears are perfect for helping to move away large mounds of dirt and maybe even rocks and things as they're necessary. For dig site readiness, I'm going to give Bunnelby 5 stars. Our next submission here is this Vonsley, and I'm worried about its current state. It looks like it's fallen into an unfortunate predicament. But I think it's important to remember that sometimes when we capture things in their context, they might be in a context that is less than ideal. Vonsley are typically not native to places like beaches or shoreside locations. You would more often find them in places like fields or forests. So I'm guessing that this one has wandered here accidentally, which is sure something that could be happening, but it doesn't really seem like it fits the environmental expectation that we would have. For environmental storytelling, I'm going to give this photo 2 stars. One of the things that we look at in archaeology is destruction, and while this might just be beach debris, this might be beach debris that has come about from a wide different range of reasons, and it might be indication of some historic context. For the archaeology vibes, I'm going to give this photo 3 stars. It's true that us archaeologists do gravitate towards Pokemon like rock types, but in its current state, Vonsley is definitely not archaeology ready. For dig site readiness, I'm going to give this photo 3 stars. Hopefully somebody's able to free this Pokemon, or it's been able to wiggle its way out and get back to where it needs to. Here we have a Dracovish photo, and I have to be honest that I'm not a very big fan of Dracovish. Usually when Carolus is involved, it's not a good sign, but it's not Dracovish's fault, I suppose. The thing about a Pokemon that's been fused together by a Bone Wars style methodology that creates really its own kind of monstrosity begs the question as to where a Pokemon like this might be native, and the answer is we don't really know, because this Pokemon is the hybrid of 2 instead of 1 specific creature. It's almost hard to give context to Dracovish because, again, it's a made-up creature. It's the worst! To the best of our understanding, the fossilized drake may have been an apex predator, but the fossilized fish really needs to remain in water, so I think maybe seeing this Pokemon closer to the water would be a little bit of a better understanding of how it might be existing in this space. For the environmental storytelling, I'm going to give this photo 3 stars, because again, we know so little about Dracovish, it's hard to really understand fully if this is where we might see this. When it comes to understanding historic context, even though when we're looking at human history and human remains, sometimes fossilized remains can tell us a lot, and evidence of Pokemon like Dracovish are specifically evidence of actions taken by humans to create Pokemon that maybe weren't supposed to be created, but is still a reflection of human innovation and technological development. For the archaeology vibes, although fossilized Pokemon would fall under Pokemon paleontology, I'm going to give Dracovish 5 stars. This Pokemon definitely has the ability to support us in our archaeological efforts, but as we know about some of its dex entries, this Pokemon would actually thrive better in the water. And keeping that in mind, maritime archaeology is a very important part of archaeology. As far as dig site readiness goes, I'm going to give Dracovish 4 stars. I think Trico is really nicely highlighted. It's very centered in the picture. I love that its green color is so vibrant and popping out amidst the blues and the other colors that that you see here. While this is a really beautiful photo, I'm not sure it gives a strong indication that Trico might be native or be something you'd expect to find here on Boulder Beach. For environmental storytelling, I think I'm going to give this 3 stars. When we're asking the question, does this photo feel historic, we don't really see anything that would draw historic attention to it, no structures or anything in the background that may suggest that this Pokemon is engaging with something historic. So unfortunately, archaeology vibes, I have to give this photo a 1 star. I do think that Trico would be able to help on the dig site. It looks like it's ready to help. It's observing the area, which is very important when you're preparing for something like a dig site. For dig site ready, I'm going to give this photo 2 stars. The last photo we have submitted here on Boulder Beach today is of Regirock. Why has a Regirock wandered out so far to Boulder Beach? While it doesn't feel native, at least it does make sense that it's near here, trying to probably restore itself in some way. For environmental storytelling, I'm going to give this photo 2 stars. When it comes to any of the Regis, they are inherently tied to the deep and rich history of Pokemon. Noting that this Pokemon's body composition is made up from rocks seemingly found all over the world, if we're able to investigate it, we're able to learn a lot. For archaeology vibes, I'm going to give this photo 5 stars. Rock types are again an excellent type to utilize in the field, but I'm curious if Regirock is here, is it capable of contributing in its current state? For dig site readiness, I'm going to give this photo 4 stars. If I were submitting just one photo to the Pokemon photo contest, I would have to go with Bunnelby. From an archaeologist's perspective, this Pokemon is a great companion in the field, and its photo showcases this so well. Thank you so much, Aaron, for capturing some of the life we see here on Boulder Beach.
Let's review where I'm at with my Photodex. Last time we found these Pokemon, and now we've added 6 more. Clauncher, Bunnelby, Bonsly, Dracovish, Trico, and Regirock. I don't know where this photo journey is going to take me, but working alongside Mallory today has me really excited, especially if I find more Pokemon like Regirock. Speaking of Pokemon I saw today, it looks like I have a new friend because Bonsly is now part of my team. If you're wanting any of the photos from today's expedition, you can already find them in my shop along with stickers I made for each Pokemon I saw. Check the description for links to my shop and mail club, Mallory's channel, and join my Discord server to share your photos with me if you also decide to get out into the wild grass. Next time, I'll be headed to a house full of cat Pokemon.